So before I start this video, I just want to say that this video is fair use, so all the media used in this video is used for criticism, review, or in a transformative way. All the information I present is public information and everything else is alleged, a joke, or just my opinion. So the first thing I want to talk about is the Kardashians after they faced backlash over a video of their kids shared on TikTok. Scott Disick shared a video on TikTok of his daughter Penelope performing a Molly war dance alongside Kim Kardashian's children Saint and North. The kids were accompanied by 2 other children. Since the video has been uploaded, many New Zealanders called the depiction wildly inappropriate, disrespectful, and insulting. Māoris don't need to appreciate or be happy with the Kardashian kids doing the haka. White people need to stop telling Māori to just be happy people are talking about your culture. Girl, shut up. It's appropriating culture and the Kardashians are infamous for it. No one is mad at the kids. They probably don't even know of Māori or any other indigenous groups on the Pacific. But there are grown-ass adults sitting around encouraging, recording, and broadcasting this behavior to the world, and then getting applause for trying. The video was captioned, "TikTok, you don't stop, ain't got nothing on us," and was posted to his 24 million TikTok followers. Fans weren't happy with the culturally significant dance being used for content on TikTok. Why are the Kardashian kids doing the haka and why are they saying it's TikTok content? My heritage better not be a damn TikTok dance challenge. I don't care that they've learned the real words rather than making up their own. This is sacred. Stop appropriating cultures. Why the fuck are the Kardashian West Disick kids doing a haka on Scott's story? That feels wildly inappropriate. The Kardashian kids are doing the haka. Like, I'm not mad, but my culture isn't a TikTok challenge. I hope that anyone who joins in shows some respect. On one hand, it's a great thing. On the other hand, I would love to have a conversation with them about what the haka means and what motivated them to do it. Dukaki said it was great when Māori culture is shared online within reason. It has to be done with true intent. It's not just something that's good for Instagram or social media. Other supporters of the Kardashians said the clip was more of cultural appreciation over cultural appropriation. Those Kardashian kids doing the haka? Ew, why? It's a sacred and integral part of Māori culture, yet people treat it like it's some kind of foreign or touristic attraction. Can people just not? My opinion is obviously don't get mad at the kids. If you're gonna get mad at someone, make it the adults. But I don't think the Kardashians care much about like cultural appropriation because they've done it multiple times in the past. And just because they learned the words, they weren't even the ones who learned the words. Just because their kids learned the words doesn't mean that it's not still appropriation. I've also seen people on Twitter saying like, just be happy that they made more people aware of your culture and Māori people and stuff like that. And it's like, they don't have to be happy about jack shit. If they feel like they were wrong, they're allowed to be upset. Just because there was somewhat of a positive outcome on it doesn't mean that it was a positive thing. And there would only be a positive outcome if people who were only introduced to the Māori culture via the Kardashians actually did their own research on it, because obviously they're not going to get any of the information from the Kardashians. And if you're a fan of the Kardashians and if you're like defending them and shit, I don't think they're the same type of people that would go out of their way to educate themselves on this culture. But at the end of the day, the Kardashians have had a very long history of just being culture vultures, and I'm not entirely surprised that they did something like this, regardless of whether or not it was positive. The next thing I want to talk about is the drama that happened between Angelika and Smokey Glow. So a bit of context before I get into their videos that they made about it. Essentially what happened was Hannah, who goes by Smokey Glow on YouTube, does this thing called Glowmas where she uploads every single day during the month of December, and a lot of the time she has collabs with other people, and one of those people happened to be Angelika Oles, who is like a drama commentary channel, and Smokey Glow is kind of like a mixture of a drama commentary channel and like a makeup beauty guru kind of channel. But she uploaded a video that was a collab with Angelika, and she got a lot of backlash because people aren't the biggest fan of Angelika because her attitude and behavior towards people of color and how she interacts with them, especially after mistakes she's made in regards to things that directly affect them, whether that be something in relation to like the Kardashians or shit like that. But there's also like other issues that people have with her that aren't necessarily accurate, and I'll get into that later. But Angelika basically posted a video where she talked about the entire thing, and a couple of things that I really agreed with in her video included the statement that when you lie about controversies or stuff like that people have had in the past, it really just takes away from like actual scandals and problematic behaviors that they have executed, where they do actually deserve genuine criticism and deserve to be held accountable for those actions, but instead the attention is kind of taken away because of all these like straight up lies that people are told about them. For example, Angelika was accused of being both transphobic and anti-Semitic, both of which to essentially everyone's knowledge is just untrue. People accused her of misgendering people, but when the accusers were asked to show evidence or links to a video where she did that, they just stopped responding. So Angelika went through like their profiles or like YouTube channels and stuff like that to try and find out how she misgendered them, and they just didn't have like a gender within like how their account was set up. Like it'll literally just be like a stan account with no pronouns in the bio, and spreading lies and just making up rumors about other people being transphobic or anti-Semitic just takes away from the actual hurt that people have when they experience things that are transphobic or anti-Semitic or stuff like that. She acknowledged that she addressed things very, very poorly in the past, and I cannot stress that enough. The way that she has addressed things in the past were just bad. they were bad. And I wish she like talked more about this in regards to like her like pinned comment. Like she'd apologize to a very small group of people and then expect everyone to be on board with the fact that she had acknowledged everything and taken accountability for everything and to understand her thoughts and feelings on the situation. One example that like jumped straight to the top of my head is when there was a photoshopped caption on one of Kylie Jenner's Instagram posts where it was originally just like an emoji, but then somebody photoshopped it to be like brown skin girl or some shit like that. And in her video she just said a bunch of shit where she was essentially defending Kylie Jenner and saying that people who do this were like stupid, and she did it in a way where it seemed like she was just calling out anyone who called out the Kardashians for being culture vultures were just losers. And she addressed that in a pinned comment under that video saying like, that's not what I meant, I just meant that like if you again lie about these things, it just takes away from the actual importance of taking accountability for these things. But she obviously didn't say it like that in the video, so she clarified that in the pinned comment and then just expected everyone to understand what she was on about and expected everyone to see it and expected everyone to know that she had already addressed the situation. She also talked about the situation where she talked about Dixie D'Amelio and how she was rumored to have faked seizures back in high school to get out of class whenever she didn't want to be in class. And she said in her video like, why the fuck does anyone care, like it doesn't matter. And people were upset at her because of that, but she clarified that saying what she meant was like accusing people of faking certain like illnesses or stuff like that is more damaging to the disabled community than faking certain illnesses and disabilities. And she also didn't want to be guilty of like accusing somebody of faking this thing and being like a terrible person for faking a disability, but then it turns out to be true because like nobody actually knows. And it did turn out that Dixie did actually have like actual seizures. Obviously everyone saw her in class having these seizures, and so she didn't end up going to graduation or something like that because she was so embarrassed of these seizures. But there were also some things that I didn't really understand about her video. For example, she said that she didn't understand how serious the situation was in regards to the Kardashians and how she kept on supporting them and defending them, but she was just like really unaware of how serious these things were. And that for me was really hard to believe, especially like her like main thing was that she lives in the UK, so there's not as much focus on the Kardashians as there is in the US and stuff like that. So tell me why that I and most of the people I know can be aware of the Kardashians and live in New Zealand, a literal island that people didn't know existed until a few decades ago. A country that people didn't put on maps until rugby. Being in the UK doesn't mean that the Kardashian scandals or like are any less well known or prominent. We didn't have Taco Bell until either last year or this year. We didn't have Sephora until this year. We knew about the Kardashians. You obviously also covered the story about Kylie Jenner and her Instagram caption where somebody photoshopped it to brown skin girl. So I'm just confused as to like how you could be like so caught up with all this stuff, and whenever they have like a makeup launch or whenever they get into a fake scandal, but you don't know anything about when they have an actual scandal that people deserve to be upset about. I just think it's funny that those are the kind of stories that you find just scrolling through Twitter, but you can't take your time to either listen to your fans of color, which I'll get into in a minute, or just find out of the blue. But you can find this kind of shit out of the blue. But let's say you genuinely didn't know shit. You had no idea that the Kardashians were actually problematic. Your fans of color have tried to educate you for so long and you just didn't care. And I don't want to hear that bullshit of like, if the comment's not constructive then I'm not going to listen to it. Like many of the comments did at the very least start out as constructive. I don't doubt that they eventually turn into very accusatory and hateful comments, but there you cannot convince me that the people who were commenting didn't at least start out as very calm and rational and like just tried to educate you in a very nice way. I have personally failed to see any genuinely like hateful comments towards Angelica about her blatant disregard for cultural appropriation, but obviously there are going to be comments that were very sour, but I feel like those comments either came from her not listening to them throughout a long period of time, or like they were just upset, and they had every reason to be upset. You're allowed to be angry at Angelica for supporting people who have directly negatively impacted so many cultures for so long. They had a reason to be angry at Angelica. They were allowed to be angry at Angelica. And I feel like if you genuinely cared about the masses of people of color trying to educate you on this subject that you clearly just didn't give a fuck about, you would have at least listened to them. Hannah messaged Angelica after getting a lot of backlash for her video in collaboration with her, just to try and like see what happened and to get like all sides of the story, as well as like doing her own like research on like what happened and stuff like that and listening to the comments, Angelika continued to downplay her actions. So you're claiming that you didn't know that you were supporting all this, but if you were messaging Hannah trying to downplay how serious cultural appropriation is, the only like way that adds up in my brain is either you didn't care and you just assumed that you didn't do anything wrong because you could never do anything wrong, or you knew and you just didn't care. So in both instances, you just didn't give a fuck about other cultures being negatively impacted by the people that you support. She claimed in a video that she had been trying to converse with black women in her comments and on her Twitter and stuff like that, which is again contradictory. Like, how can you be trying to listen to them, but everyone who was trying to educate you on it was like coming out saying that you had blocked them, but you were listening to them and like educating yourself on what was happening, but also you didn't actually know why the Kardashians were so controversial until very recently, and you were listening to black women and how upset that they were, and still deciding to downplay your actions and behavior to Hannah. So you were claiming that you were listening to black women, while black women had consistently claimed that you weren't listening to them. Hannah's story lines up with the theory that you weren't listening to them, and your own claim that you didn't know what was happening with the Kardashians and all that lines up with the fact that you weren't listening to them. When she was talking about the Kylie Jenner situation with her Instagram caption, the jokes that she made was about like how she was living in people's heads rent free, and that people who were like talking about this were just like losers and shit like that, and she claims that that was just about like white people trying to take away attention from like actual valid criticisms that you could have about the Kardashians. I don't know if I believe that, but I don't really care because nobody actually knows. Like, if she claims that it was directed towards white people, I can't say anything otherwise. Again, that is very contradictory to like, I don't know about the Kardashians, but like that entire statement and her like pushing that statement throughout the video just didn't make sense and made me very uncomfortable watching the video. She said that when she was talking about the situation that she had misspoke because she was anxious and nervous, but then that leads to the question like, why didn't you misspeak in every other video? Because this wasn't like a special video, this was every other video. This was like a normal drama video that she makes multiple times a week. It was a regular drama video that she has been making for, I would assume, over a year now. It was a regular drama video that is edited. She says that she was stressed and anxious about a lot of these things, and why like she misspoke was because she was so stressed and anxious about a lot of these things. I like, fuck off. I'm so tired of that excuse. Like, you could be stressed and anxious and not be an asshole. So Hannah released her video in response to this, saying that when she uploaded the collab, she got a lot of hate and backlash because it was with Angelika, and that she tried to defend Angelika in a way that wouldn't invalidate other people because Angelika was her friend. So she put a pinned comment under that video saying that she was looking into the situation, and she messaged Angelika, but by the time that Angelika had like woken up and seen the pinned comment, she found that shady. I personally don't understand that. Like, if Hannah uploaded a video, got backlash for the video, and didn't know what was going on in regards to the backlash, obviously she's gonna like let people know that she's looking into it. I don't know why that was shady. What would have been shady is her not messaging you, but okay. And I feel like this is as big of an issue as I'm making it because a lot of the conversation was so unproductive and not helpful and just like annoying because how emotional it got. The conversation could have easily been, this is what I did wrong, you can have your opinion about that and delete the video if you want, but instead it turned into, I felt betrayed that you let people know that you were researching what went wrong, and therefore I'm going to be pissed at you throughout this entire conversation and not get anywhere with this entire conversation. Hannah also mentioned how Angelika made herself seem incredibly innocent with the shit that she was saying within DMs and how much she was downplaying the entire Kardashian situation. She had also refused to acknowledge the situation and address the backlash until Hannah made it a thing. Before her entire drama with Hannah, she had never in her life addressed it. But as soon as she gets into drama with Hannah, she makes a video to address it, but mostly to drag Hannah. But when Hannah messaged her saying that she was getting a lot of hate because of her association with Angelika, Angelika had absolutely no problem with letting Hannah just get, like, take it. Like, just not telling her what happened at all, just not publicly addressing it, just letting her take it. Like, realistically, what was Hannah supposed to do in that situation? People were angry with her, she wasn't going to ignore them, so the only option was to do something about it, and you're angry that she wanted you to address actual scandals that you have been. You're a drama channel. How can you constantly like go on about other people taking accountability for their actions and then just not publicly address this? For a long time, might I add, like, this has been like a running theme. So you were just letting her get massive amounts of hate because of your microaggressive behavior and your attitude towards people of color, and then you got mad at her because she was concerned about the amount of hate that she was getting. And Angelika said in her video that Hannah had said to her, I'm not going to get hate because of you, essentially. Hannah clarified that in her video, saying that was incredibly out of context because she didn't want to get hate because of Angelika's shitty behavior when it was Angelika's problem to deal with. Hannah is not a shitty friend for wanting you to take accountability rather than falling on the blade herself. And the fact that Angelika mentioned this in a video at all, I just find it funny how people are just supposed to accept the fact that you say things very, like, wrong, I guess, when you're stressed and anxious in your edited regular videos, but you can't accept that Hannah and every other human on this earth says things that could be taken out of context within heated conversations happening in real time. Like, how do you not know that that was what she was saying? Like, if you did shitty things that you need to address and somebody comes to you saying, I'm getting a lot of hate because of the shitty things that you have done and I don't want to get hate for it, how do you take that to there being a shitty friend that doesn't want to defend me because they don't actually value me as a friend? Like, how do you...
Oh my god.
But Angelika said that during the first Dramageddon, Hannah made a video about it and she was liking shady comments under that video that she made that spoke negatively of Manny MUA, but then she recently uploaded a collab that she had with him. And she made that an entire thing about how she is a shady person and how her being a manipulator and a bad friend is like a pattern of behavior, which we do talk about more. But Hannah's response to that is that opinions can change over time, which I was personally like very shocked by. Like, I had never heard anything like it before, and the fact that like new information and like personal growth can affect how you think about somebody is appalling to me. And she also said it's very easy to essentially like paint somebody as a hypocrite if you nitpick every little thing from their past. And I cannot stress this enough, it is so strange how she brought this up in a video that was supposed to be her taking accountability. And she continues to try and push this narrative that Hannah is a bad person, where she brought up the Rich Lux and Nick and Dustin situation to prove a pattern of behavior, where what happened was essentially Hannah was invited to like a drama channel Christmas party with Rich Lux, Nick, and Dustin. She didn't want to go, but then Nick went on one of her lives and publicly invited her by making a joke about like going to a Christmas party. It was something along the lines of like, I can't believe like you're not going to my Christmas party, or like you have to go to my Christmas party, or something like that. But it was very obviously a joke and they all knew it was a joke. But regardless, Hannah said that she still felt like pushed to like go because she had now been publicly invited, and she knew it was a joke. Like, she wasn't blaming Nick for like making her feel pushed entirely, but like it was just how she felt because she was now publicly invited, and she had planned to go at this point where she hadn't planned to go beforehand, but now she was. But then she found out that Rich Lux had a very racist past, I guess, that he hadn't addressed, and I think some of it was very recent, but she then felt very uncomfortable with going, so she made a video covering the entire situation and like what she found out about Rich Lux. What else was mentioned was she said she was not going to the Christmas party, and obviously Nick felt that it was shady that she made this video instead of just telling him straight up first. She never DM'd him before uploading the video, before filming the video or anything like that to say that she was no longer going to the party. She just uploaded the video, and that was supposed to be taken as like her official rejection of the invite. So Nick DM'd her saying that like it was okay, like it was kind of like annoying, but it was fine. So she thought it was just like water under the bridge until a bunch of people started making videos and live streams talking about how much of a shitty person she was. They made the entire situation seem really petty, and that like Hannah was making this petty drama out of nowhere, and then failing to mention that the reason she made this a big deal was because of Rich Lux's racism. Like, obviously she should have told Nick that she wasn't going beforehand, just to like let him know that this wasn't a part of the drama. But it was just convenient how they left out their racism when talking about the situation, and the fact that the reason that she didn't want to go to the party was because she didn't want to be associated with the racist, or at the very least somebody who had a history of racism. I don't know how relevant some of the stuff was. And Angelika took that narrative and ran with it, saying this is a pattern of behavior, she is a bad friend, and this is proof, which was obviously in poor taste and obviously not informed because there was more to the story than what was said. But Hannah just said it was hypocritical how she was upset that people who were obviously uninformed accused her of being transphobic and ran with it, while in the same breath doing the exact same thing of accusing Hannah of being a shitty friend and having a pattern of behavior of being a user or a social climber, I guess, while not being informed about the situation at all. And the fact that Hannah's video had to be so long because she had to address all of this and give so much context to everything and tell people what actually happened because Angelika had the fucking nerve to bring all this shit up in a video where she was supposed supposed to be taking accountability for her microaggressions and her crimes against people of color. That annoys the fuck out of me. Tea and drama and the dirt that she had on Hannah not only was invalid, but even if it was valid, was that Hannah was rude and a bad friend. The dirt against you was that you didn't like people of color and that you didn't care about how they felt. And there was stuff to back that up because you had shown a consistent pattern of literally not listening to them. You could say that you did all you want, or that like you tried to, or that like you didn't even block that many people, and the people that you did block like weren't obviously people of color. You didn't listen to them, and you made the active decision to continue supporting people that actively hurt them. It would have been so easy to apologize, and yet you couldn't do that. As a drama channel with so much credibility and so many followers that expect transparency and consistency, because again, you are a drama channel, you couldn't do exactly what you would expect out of every other person that you talk about on your channel. If you like this video, or if you liked me, make sure to like and subscribe. If you didn't like me, make sure to get in contact with my teachers because I bet you have a lot in common, and make sure to stay safe and stay hydrated.